Hey there, interwebs, and welcome back to Who? Fascinating. This sub-series seems to be rapidly falling into a trend of taking D-list famous figures, debunking their sole claim to fame, and focusing on the fascinating truth behind the legends instead. First it was Robert Liston and his 300% mortality rate. Next it was Gertrude of Nivelles, who's not the patron saint of cats. Now it's time to do a deep dive on a man called J.J. Arms. As soon as I first learned of him, I knew I had to do a Who? Fascinating episode about the man. I first thought I'd found the real Inspector Gadget, but as I started hunting for details, I soon found myself wondering, is he for real himself? Imagine, if you will, a cyborg private eye, martial arts practitioner, and exotic animal trainer, solving cases for famous celebrities, providing industrial security, and taking government contracts, all while dodging assassination attempts, but scarred by his checkered past and mutilated by an explosion when a torpedo heist went awry. It sounds far-fetched, but I assure you every word is true. This is J.J. Arms. That's J.J. Arms, not J.J. Arms, though I suppose J.J. Arms is also technically correct. His given name was Julian Armas, which still feels way too on the nose given that he's got a pair of bionic arms and those J's evoke a pair of hook hands. What lazy hack is writing this character? I do get ahead of myself, though. J.J. Arms did actually start his own private investigator and security service, and the phrases checkered past and torpedo heist may have been a bit overly dramatic, but they're still technically correct. When he was 11, he and a friend broke into a railroad supply house with the intention of stealing railway torpedoes. Despite the cool-sounding name, these aren't actually weapons. They're small explosive charges affixed to railroad tracks that produce a loud but largely harmless bang when a train runs over them, thereby alerting the driver of something important up ahead. Armas rubbed a pair of these together, and the ensuing friction caused them to detonate and mangle his hands so badly that amputation was required. After about a month, according to one source, he received a pair of prosthetic replacement hands, and he later acquired a special prosthesis with an integrated .22 Magnum pistol which he could fire without using his other hand. He started his own detective agency, the Investigators, in his hometown of El Paso and launched the Investigators Security Course in 1978. He's been both certified as a peace officer and made a deputy constable, allowing him to mount a siren on his personal limousine, serve subpoenas, and concealed carry his favorite sidearm, a .38 Special revolver. He's also allegedly a third-degree black belt, as well as a keeper of exotic animals, including a baby elephant, ostriches, and numerous big cats such as white tigers. He is perhaps best known, though, for his most famous case, his helicopter rescue of Marlon Brando's son Christian from kidnappers in Mexico, which was later chronicled in a Season 7 episode of the television show Mysteries at the Museum. In addition to making multiple TV appearances, Arms was also named one of People magazine's 25 Most Intriguing People of 1975, received the Most Successful Investigator in the Country award from the International Society of Private Investigators in 1989, and was inducted into the Investigators Hall of Fame in 1998. He's even got his own collectible action figures. As impressive as all of these accomplishments are, they still weren't enough for Arms. My opening spiel about surviving assassination attempts, training exotic animals, and being mutilated in a torpedo heist may have been stretching the truth with specific wording, but it's not a patch on stories told by the man himself. You see, at the beginning I jokingly accused J.J. Arms of being a character made up by a lazy creator, but it turns out I was right, and the lazy creator was Julian Armas himself. As a child, Armas worked at a movie house, and before becoming a private investigator, he tried his hand, or lack thereof, as a Hollywood actor. He claimed he left the business after being disenchanted and finding it not to his liking, but I believe he liked it a little too much. His first childhood job had him working at the movies, surrounded by Hollywood stories, and next he tried to be a part of them, but it was too phony for him. He didn't just want to play a Hollywood hero, he wanted to be a Hollywood hero. In past interviews, he was prone to Trumpian levels of exaggeration and overstating his own achievements, but whenever his claims invited further clarification, he was either unwilling or legally prevented from providing more details, or so he'd say. For example, he claimed a national magazine that he was not at liberty to identify offered him $500,000 to locate kidnapping victim Patty Hearst. Despite boasting that he could do so within the month, he claimed he turned down the offer because the magazine also wanted him to guarantee an exclusive interview with the actress. He said, quote, "Even admitting to you now that I had her located could subject me to criminal prosecution," unquote. He also spoke of a caper, the word he'd used to refer to all his cases and further evidence of his obsession with his Hollywood fantasy, in which he rescued a runaway teenage girl in New Mexico. He kicked in the door, heroically I'm sure, and a hippie shot him 3 times in the chest with a .32 caliber handgun. Despite one of the bullets missing his heart by less than an inch, he still managed to kill the assailant with a single .22 slug square between the eyes and selflessly escort the girl back to her parents' home in El Paso before going to the hospital himself, or so he claims. That's the sort of tale of daring do that just begs follow-up questions, but good luck getting answers. In an interview he said, quote, Yes, I have killed people. I don't want to talk about it. Sometimes you must take a life in the line of duty. If someone gets in the way, maybe I'll have to kill him, but I don't like to talk about it." Unquote. Over the years, he's also provided many stories which are too good to be true and are easily verified not to be. He claimed to possess degrees in both psychology and criminology from New York University, where he met Professor Max Phelan. The man became a mentor to Arms and arranged for his star pupil to receive a paid assistant position and even lodged Arms in his own home. Tragically, as time progressed, Professor Phelan took to drink, and the university was eventually forced to fire him. Arms, after discovering the woeful fate of his friend, mentor, and benefactor, hired him as an agent for his LA-based branch of the investigators. Except NYU has no mention of either Arms or Phelan in their records, and neither of the pair possess a detective license for the state of California. It seems the classic narrative archetype of this father figure turned alcoholic originated solely within the mind of Arms, but it's possible he took inspiration from his own real-life father, who also had a drinking problem. As a matter of fact, much of Arms' exploits, if not entirely verisimilar, seem to have some basis in reality, such as his claim to have 2,000 agents worldwide and over 600 in El Paso alone. In reality, Arms is a member of a private detective association with around that many members, and they're all allowed to claim one another. So what can we say about Julian Armas for certain? He definitely lost his hands to a railway torpedo explosion and had them replaced with a pair of prosthetic hooks, and he had a custom gun prosthesis made. He's been certified as a private investigator, peace officer, and deputy constable at various points, and he did start his own detective agency. He did rescue Christian Brando from kidnappers in Mexico, but it probably wasn't the 3 to 5 day helicopter search he's portrayed it as. According to Texan police officer Captain Palos, Marlon Brando's attorney already knew where the boy was. Arms only had to cross the border, hire a half-dozen federales or gunsels, grab the kid, and get out. He's made TV appearances, but the episode of Hawaii Five-0 he was in was not named, quote, the best show ever on TV, unquote, by the Library of Congress as he's so claimed, and he does have a menagerie of exotic animals. You'd think just being a cyborg private eye with a pet tiger would be more than enough for anyone, but not Armas. His life is just too cinematically perfect to be real, and intentionally so. I've linked below a sample interview conducted with him, as well as an extensive but gripping article from Texas Monthly separating the man from the myth he's created. I guess a noble cyborg mercenary with a weaponized hand and a quick mind is just too much to ask for. If you're familiar with this series, you probably already know where this is going. This is Gottfried von Berlichingen, also known as Götz the Iron Hand. He was a German mercenary who lived from circa 1480 to 1562, and he earned his epithet after losing his right hand to enemy cannon fire during the siege of Landshut in 1504 and replacing it with a metal prosthesis. This loss of natural manual dexterity failed to thwart his military career, though. His second prosthetic hand had 5 independently articulated fingers, each fitted with a set of spring-loaded pawls and ratchets, allowing him to grip a sword, shield, or the reins of his horse, and he said that it, quote, rendered more service in the fight than ever did the original flesh, unquote. Although strong enough to wield a sword and stand up to the rigors of battle, it also gave sufficient fine motor control to use a quill, allowing Götz to write his autobiography because he was both a warrior and a poet. He even coined the phrase lick my ass, which is known today as the Swabian salute. Classy, man. Götz was a sort of Robin Hood figure, ransoming nobles captured in battle, robbing wealthy merchants, and donating riches to the peasantry. Despite being knighted, he was also outlawed twice by imperial ban, first in 1512 and then again in 1518, just 4 years after having the initial ban lifted. He fought in wars and rebellions throughout the region until retiring in his mid-60s and lived to the ripe old age of about 82 before dying peacefully in his sleep. Not bad for a one-handed mercenary in the days before antibiotics. If you're interested in cool cyborgs who are around today, I can highly recommend following Angel Giuffria on Twitter. Thanks for watching, and have a fascinating day.